Greetings, horror, sci-fi, and Universal Monsters fans. Drew here from Horror, Sci-Fi, and Beyond, and we're here to review for the 25th anniversary, The Mummy from 1999. God, I feel old. Like I was 5 when this movie came out. That's what's crazy about it.
Okay. I was 16,
Not
so
really.
yeah.
Yeah. And that voice that you hear in the background is none other than Ashton Jackson. How's it going, man?
You're gonna have to come up with a better name than that.
It's a cool name, Ashton Jackson.
I don't know. I just don't feel like it suits me.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
we'll
Also,
on this.
apparently, so that's a movie. There's a movie with like Craig T. Nelson
Oh,
and I can't remember who else is in it. Maybe it might be Carl Weathers. I'm not sure. I've
oh,
never seen it, but it's a movie. It's called Action Jackson,
yeah.
but I've never seen it.
Interesting.
I don't know.
But how are you, man?
I'm okay. Just chilling.
Anyways, before we get into the review of The Mummy, I got a couple of housekeeping things to get to. And the first bit of housekeeping that we need to get to is the next episode will be the MCU Look Back, episode 8, where we will be reviewing Avengers Infinity War, Ant-Man, and Captain Marvel. This is the second to last episode of
Yeah, we're getting very near the end of the best phase.
yeah. Yeah, it's kind of surreal.
Before we take a very long break to get
Yeah.
into what is probably the worst phase.
Yeah, there's definitely some hidden gems there for sure.
There are.
Yeah.
And I think we probably like different stuff from phase 4, but we'll get to that
Yeah,
one of these days.
yeah, it feels very unfocused for sure. And we'll definitely I want to review the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy and then the two Amazing Spider-Man movie before we get to
Oh yeah, because it all ties in together. Oh goodness. Okay.
yeah, well I just want to talk about those movies just in general, so I feel like that would give us an excuse. Like we'll do
Yeah, I haven't revisited them in a while.
Mhm.
But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
And then the second bit of housekeeping that we got to get to is recently Eric and Jackson did a special decor episode of the show called Extreme Horror. It was kind of like a pilot for that.
Yeah.
And they just reviewed the most darkest, most depraved, violent horror movies of all time. And that's up on the channel right now, and I'll leave a link in the description below to check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
And
were
of course, it's me and Eric, so the discussion itself is not dark or depraved at all. It's
yeah.
very pleasant.
But they reviewed Lon von Trier's Antichrist.
Yes, we did.
Um and I listened to it and it was a very interesting episode. I really liked it. And you talked about Furiosa at the beginning too, which I was
We did. We had to get our 2 cents in because you did your little
yeah.
out of theater review, so we wanted to speak our
Yeah,
piece
I
on it.
like doing I like doing that sometimes on these episodes
Yeah.
about a recent movie that came out that we probably won't about in a while, or
Right.
it's not a horror, sci-fi, or fantasy movie.
I mean, eventually we're gonna have to do like a supersized episode on the entire Mad Max universe or
Oh yeah,
something,
for sure.
because
At some point,
there's a lot to talk about with those.
so definitely check out the Antichrist review, and I hope this new series that you guys are doing really takes off because I think
Yeah, the next month's episode is going to be about the Gaspar Noé film Climax,
oh I heard that movie's kind of jacked up
which
too.
is a really cool like dance troupe tripping on acid
Mm.
horror movie.
You guys should I do want to put in a couple of requests for that series. You guys should definitely do Mother and you should do Hereditary.
That would be an interesting one because Eric doesn't really like that movie, and I think it's really great.
Yeah, I really like Mother.
So
It's not my
that would,
favorite Aronofsky movie. That'll be Black Swan, which would be another good one to do too.
yeah.
Yeah, actually, Black Swan I could probably I handle.
That's not really. I wouldn't call that extreme though.
That's more like psychological.
Yeah, I don't think that's a very extreme movie. It's not
Yeah.
very gory.
I mean, there's
It's got
definitely scenes of
it's
it.
got some stuff like, anytime somebody's like pulling off their toenails and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff is very uncomfortable to watch, but that's about the worst thing that happens.
Yeah, a little girl's head getting lopped off, and then a bunch of ants crawl all over it. But anyway, we derailed as per usual. Let's get down to the Mummy review. And
Okay.
the plot summary for Stephen Sommers' The Mummy from 1999, according to the Internet Movie Database, is at an archaeological dig in the ancient city of Hamanatra, an American serving in the French Foreign Legion accidentally awakens a mummy who begins to wreak havoc as he searches for a reincarnation of his long lost love.
Where did you get this?
On a dig down in Thebes.
Jonathan, I think you found something.
There is an ancient legend of a place known as the City of the Dead.
We call it the doorway to hell.
Where the earliest pharaohs were said to have hidden the wealth of Egypt.
Are we going into battle?
There's something out there. Something underneath that sand.
They came to uncover its secrets.
Mummies, my good son. This is where they made the mummies.
They sought to unlock its treasure.
And then there was light.
Oh, boy.
What they did
Oh my God. It does exist.
I think this may be the Book of the Dead.
was unleash a force unlike any the world has ever known.
You must not read from the book! You have unleashed the creature that we have feared for more than 3,000 years.
Whoa! He will regenerate and no longer be the undead.
We are in serious trouble.
All right, so before we get into the deep dive, what is your quick thoughts about this movie and how did you discover it? And what's your relationship with the movie?
Okay, so I remember when it came out in theaters, but I didn't go see it for some reason. I don't know why I didn't go see it. It seemed like the kind of thing I would have been into at the time. But I didn't catch it until it came on, I guess, video. I don't remember if I saw it on video or if it was like a pay-per-view thing or but of course I really was into it after that because it's just such a fun movie. And the sequel's pretty good too. I never saw the third one. But I did see the Scorpion King. Anyway, but yeah, it's just one of those movies that I would always like watch as a teenager or in college or whatever. It's it's a comfort food kind of movie. I don't know if I love it as much as I used to though. I still really like it. I don't really have anything against it, but I'm not sure it holds up as well as I would have liked. Anyway, we'll get into that.
Yeah. My quick thoughts about this movie is I fucking love this movie. This is a childhood classic of mine.
Right.
I'm not really sure how I discovered it. We just always had the DVD, and I would just watch it all the time.
Yeah.
And I recently got the Blu-ray a few years ago. With all three of them, and yeah, this movie's amazing. Me and you actually went on the roller coaster twice at Universal Studios.
Yeah, the roller coasters are really good.
Yeah, we went to Halloween Horror. Second time that we went, we sat right next to a couple, and the girl, the lady, just started freaking out the entire time.
Oh, I don't remember that because I was on the other side.
Oh yeah.
Of you from them,
yeah,
so I don't remember.
Part when the coaster goes backwards,
right?
Like, you didn't tell me about this, baby. You didn't tell me about this. It was kind of funny, but I really like the sequel. The sequel was a lot of fun too. We had that one on DVD, and I watched that one quite a bit.
Yeah.
I remember that one had a song that was running for it by the band Live called "Forever May Not Be Long."
Yes, I love that song.
Yeah.
That song rules.
That song's awesome. That's
Forever may not be long enough for our love. Yeah, it's got that cool, like, kind of Arabian feel to it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I like how the chorus gets like real heavy and
Yeah.
then mellows out again. That's really cool.
Man, I was into that band so deeply
Yeah,
at the time.
they're good band. I like Live. Um, yeah, but I didn't. I saw part of the third one on TV, and I didn't like it because Rachel Weisz wasn't in it.
Yeah, they recast her with Maria Bello, who's a fine actor, but I not somebody that's a draw for me. Rachel Weisz definitely is.
Oh yeah, well yeah. Not only is Rachel Weisz absolutely gorgeous, she just has excellent chemistry with Brendan Fraser.
Right.
John Hannah. And I think Brendan Fraser. I heard him say when he was making his rounds of press when he was doing The Whale.
Yeah.
He said that he actually wanted to do a fourth film.
I saw that just recently, him talking about that, but who knows if that would ever happen.
Yeah, I'm down with it. The only way I would be down with that would be if Rachel came back.
Yeah, you got to get Rachel Weisz back.
Yeah. And then
and you got to get Stephen Sommers back, but
yeah.
who knows? He hasn't made a movie in 11 years.
Man, I mean, Brendan Fraser, he brought back his career again. So
yeah.
I really want to see Odette Fair come back as August Bay.
Oh, he's great. I wish he had a bigger career. I mean, he's worked a lot. He does a lot of TV apparently, but it's not anything I watch. You know, I was talking to my dad. My dad remembered him from some episodes of NCIS where he played a Mossad agent or something like that. But I don't watch that show.
Yeah, it ought to be really cool if they somehow, since this is a fantasy and you can kind of do whatever, it'd be kind of cool if they brought back Kevin O'Connor as Benny. It's like a zombie mummy.
Oh goodness, I don't know if that might be a step too far.
Oh really? If you do it right, that'd be kind of fun. Yeah, he'd just be like the little Riesel that he was. I love that character, but we'll get into it.
He's fun.
Yeah, I remember when we were standing in the line for the ride that we just kept quoting lines to each other. that was a lot of fun. And this movie is one of those movies like Willy Wonka, like Men in Black, is when I go back and watch it. Like it's pretty much so much like nostalgic for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a very nostalgic movie for me, and it's very sentimental. And my mom loves it too. Like we like to watch this movie together. But anyways, you ready to get into the deep dive?
Let's do it.
All right. So the opening shot of Egypt is really amazing for the time.
Yeah, in a movie where a lot of the effects do not age very well at all.
Yeah. All right.
A lot of the landscape effects are pretty good, you know. It's more when you get into like the character effects, the creature effects.
Yeah, but this is still in the early days of CGI.
Right. And of course, then very next year you get something like Gladiator where they had to recreate like ancient Rome with like CGI and everything. But
the whole movie is like set in ancient Rome. Like this movie only, it's like one part of it is ancient Egypt, but it still looks like great. And then and I just love how like the Universal logo like turned into like the sun.
Yeah.
And it came down on the pyramid.
Well, that's every filmmaker, that's their favorite thing is to do something with the studio logo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorite one for Universal Studios was Happy Death Day, where it kept repeating, like they stopped in the middle.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, and then of course the Fablemans when it the Amblin logo like fades into it.
I don't remember that one. The Indiana Jones movies always had really great, you know, the Paramount logo turns into the actual mountains and then into the gong in the second one. Yeah. Spielberg's a master of that.
Fableman was Spielberg's first movie with Universal after like years.
Yeah, it's true. He hasn't worked with him.
Yeah, so I think
up till then he hadn't worked with him for a long time.
Yeah, so I think doing the Amblin logo over that was like, yeah, I'm back. But anyways, and then you get into the whole backstory about this pharaoh, and he had like his little mistress, like his girl.
Anaxunamun.
Yeah, Anaxunamun, played by the absolutely gorgeous Patricia Varquez, or I think that's how you say her last name.
I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, but yeah, she's
Which
out.
that's an actor you never see in anything else. Like I
Yeah.
can't think of anything else
I
I've seen
feel
her.
like this is a recurring theme in our show. We just talked about actors and actresses.
I
that
mean, it's something I think about a lot because,
Yeah.
you know, somebody will make a really big impression in a movie.
Mm,
And then I'm like, where did they go? Why haven't I seen them in more stuff? But I
yeah.
don't know.
But no, yeah, I think she's absolutely gorgeous, and she comes out and she's partly nude, and she's like painted in like gold.
It's very risque for a PG-13
Yes, this movie.
movie.
Yeah, this whole movie is pretty. It's pretty.
It is really pushing the boundaries of the PG-13 because
Yeah,
there's a lot of violence. Yeah,
yeah, not to like the extent of like a Matt Reeves Batman, but yeah, but
right,
I think that's what makes horror so good is what you don't see.
right.
Yeah, I think that's what. Yeah, that's why a lot of horror novels are a lot more effective. But basically, nobody's allowed to touch her, Anoxonomer,
Yeah,
and that's why she's painted it gold, because the Pharaoh can know that somebody touched her.
yeah.
So the mummy character, the titular mummy character, yeah,
Emotep.
and the Emotep, yeah, I forgot his name there for a second.
Yeah.
He,
They say it only 1,000 times in the movie.
but no, he starts making out with her, and then the Pharaoh comes in, see what happens, and then he gets pissed, and then
Yeah.
basically he's taken away. Oh no, they both kill the Pharaoh, and
Yes.
then Anakta kills herself, and then an Emotep is taken away.
Yeah, because it's this big
Oh no, yeah,
plot. It's like you kill yourself, and then I will resurrect you, and then we will
well, no, yeah,
rule.
but he's not taken away yet. He goes to this place to resurrect.
Yeah,
In the middle of it, he's taken away to get this
right.
real harsh
And the
punishment.
movie totally glosses over like, how did he steal her body? How did he get out to Hamanoptera? All of that.
Yeah, that's one of the.
I have okay. Let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. I have so many nitpicks about this
Well,
movie, and I'm not a nitpicky person normally on this
I'm not
show.
either.
But man, this movie, especially the most recent viewing, I'm just like
Yeah.
everything turns into a nitpick.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, I think if I get so engrossed into a movie and a story, like
Right.
it don't really get to me. And this is
And I'm the same way, but for some reason, like the recent time that I've watched this movie, it just all came flooding into my brain. I could not stop nitpicking it. So
we kind of have to be that way when you have to analyze it for a review too.
Right.
But no, so basically he's given this really fucked up punishment where like your eyes and tongue and all that stuff is cut out. And
yeah.
they're put into like these jars. I want to talk about those jars here later in this review.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's mummification, except the person was, you know, dead when it happened.
Right.
They would take out their essential organs and put them into little jars. Like that's just how mummification works.
But you're alive during this particular punishment, and it's
right.
was considered so cruel that this is the only time that within this movie's universe in iconography, like this is the only time this is
right.
happened. Now, do you know if this was something that was actually a thing in real life ancient Egypt? This curse.
This curse? Oh, I doubt it.
Well, I mean, of course, curses are real, but I'm not like, but it's something that like, hey, if you do something real fucked up, then like we're gonna do this to you. Like,
I mean, you know, it might have been. I don't know that much about ancient Egyptian culture and practices, so you know, maybe it was, but but of course, the funny thing about this whole sequence is, you know, they put this curse upon him, and if he ever was to arise, he could command the sands and be, you know, immortal and take over the entire world. And I'm like, then why would you put that curse on him? Why not just kill him?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense.
So that's my next nitpick. It's just like, don't even risk it. Don't even risk the fact that he could come back and become this unstoppable mystical force. Anyway.
But anyways, one of the worst parts about this curse is when you get put into the tomb. they actually throw a bunch of scarab beetles.
Oh, the Beatles.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the worst.
And
Yeah.
he's like these nasty little thing that will burrow inside your skin and eat your inner organs. Like it's just
Right.
gross. And that's kind of going back to what we were talking about, where this movie's puts in PG-13.
Yeah.
As hard as it can go, but
Well, I mean, it was one of the first episodes we ever did when we were talking about Hellboy 2.
mhm.
And I brought up, like, would you rather be attacked by one big thing or a whole bunch of little things?
Oh, one big thing.
Oh
Well,
yeah, a whole
yeah,
bunch of little
also-
things. It's so much more terrifying.
Yeah, well, it's also like the Raptors versus T-Rex from Jurassic Park. Like,
Right.
go up and get the T-Rex. Like, yeah, it's
Right. No, I don't want to deal
but
with
it's
the Raptors.
stupid. Or at least the Jurassic Park version of a T-Rex. You don't know how T-Rex actually was. But like
Right.
freaking like raptors are hunter and gatherers, and that
Right.
yeah, and they move in herds,
Yeah.
or they're not herds but packs.
Oh, the scarab beetles in this movie are scarier than the mummy himself.
Oh yeah, sure. And then we cut to some of the modern day, like the 1910s, I believe.
It's 1923 when we pick up
Okay,
with Rick O'Connell and the French Foreign Legion.
Okay, I kind of thought it was like WW1 era, but
No, it's in between the two World Wars.
oh
so
yeah, because the pilot guy.
the pilot is a World War I veteran, which he seems a little old to have been flying missions just 10 years earlier.
I feel like that guy's a spirit animal.
What? Because of the mustache?
Yeah, and it's
Sure, why not? I mean, I love that character. He's
Yeah, I love all
only
these
in he's
characters.
only in the movie for a very brief time,
yeah.
but he makes an impression. Anyway, we'll get to
Speaking of
him.
likable characters with good chemistry, we get introduced to Rick and Benny. And Rick,
Yeah,
our hero, played by a recent Academy Award winner Brandon Fraser. And
how crazy is that Brendan Fraser
yeah,
is an Academy Award winner
That's
now?
insane now.
And I guess we should talk about Brendan Fraser a little bit because, he was already kind of a star when this movie came out, but he was a comedy star. He'd never been in an action movie before.
Right.
But what makes this character work is that you get a really great comedy star for this character.
Yeah.
Because the action, lots of people could do the action, but what makes the movie so winning is the comedy that's
right. And I think with like Harrison
scattered into it.
Ford and Indiana Jones, he already proved his stripes of being kind of like this rough and tumble, like kind of con man shyster.
Right. Yeah. He'd already been Han Solo.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like Brendan Fraser, I don't think really played a character like that before this.
No, he played a lot of sort of dumb characters. I mean, there's Airheads. Have you ever seen Airheads?
No, that's a movie I need to watch. I knew
it's a movie for you. You would love it because it's all about metal. Because he's like the lead singer of a metal band,
right.
and the metal band is him, Steve Buscemi, and Adam Sandler.
That's amazing. That's a pair I never thought would get together ever. But
it doesn't seem like it would work, but it's actually really funny. It's not like a great movie, but it's really fun. And I've probably seen that movie more than I've seen The Mummy.
Right. Well, going back to his previous work, like another connection to Universal Monsters was the movie God of Monsters with Sir Ian.
Right. Yeah.
And how cool is that? Like early in your career, you got to work with the legendary British actor.
Yeah, it was just the year before this movie came out.
Oh, really? I thought it was.
Yeah, it was 98, and this movie's 99.
Okay, I thought it was 97, 96.
No, it's 98.
That's cool.
And he's really good in that movie. It's.
Well, it's kind of cool that we're talking about that movie given that Pride Month because James McCallum plays was a gay man, and McCallum's a gay man too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Happy Pride Month, everybody.
Yeah, happy Pride.
Yeah, I'm not going to get me canceled with a certain type of crowd, but whatever. Fuck it. It's 2024. Accept people what they are.
Let's see. But I'm thinking, like, what else had Brendan Fraser? I mean, he'd done like Encino Man, and there's a really fun movie called Blast from the Past.
That's another one I need to watch.
It's fun. It's he gets trapped in a nuclear fallout bunker
Hmm.
with his parents for like 30 years.
Oh god.
And they think the world has ended, but eventually they have to go back up to the surface for more supplies. So his dad, played by Christopher Walken, decides it's been long enough. We can send our son out into the world.
It's been long enough.
Right,
Been
exactly.
a fun out. No
And
Sorry.
so it's a fish out of water comedy where, you know, he goes into the bunker in the 60s and comes out in the 90s, but all he knows is like old sitcoms and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seemed like a movie that'd be right up my alley.
It's a fun movie. I like it. Yeah.
Now I love Rick and Benny's chemistry in this movie.
Yeah.
Basically, so he's part of this French army, like Legion.
The Foreign Legion, yeah. Which
Yeah.
is it's based in France, but basically they'll take anybody.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
So it's a very international force.
Yeah, so basically him and his little buddy Benny, you get introduced to them, and then their captain just like, because they're fighting the Magi, right? Is that who they're fighting? The people that were supposed to protect this land, Hamanasha?
I'm not sure if no, I don't think it's the Magi, because remember at the end of the scene you see the Magi like up on the hilltop,
Oh, okay.
like watching over it. I think they're just fighting like some sort of local Egyptian army.
Okay.
Which brings me to my next little nitpick. You know, if the French Foreign Legion would just mind their own business and not try to like colonize and invade parts of Africa, the mummy doesn't get released.
Right.
You know, everybody's fine. You know, because you know who's not going to bother the tomb of Imhotep? The Egyptians.
Yeah, the Egyptians, the people that actually believe 100% believe this shit.
They're not going to bother it. So
And that's going the whole different rabbit hole
yeah,
on there about colonialism. But anyways, the
Yeah.
captain that basically just leaves, and Benny goes, he just been promoted.
yeah.
Yep.
What I like is the next little bit where he's like, "Your courage gives me strength," and then immediately runs away.
This tells you like that's the thing, like this. I'll always like these kind of movies, like a Back to the Future or Home Alone, Die Hard. There's a ton of movies like that that are very economical. Like you can learn a lot about characters and about where the story is gonna go.
Yeah.
In a few short minutes, and you just learn that this guy's a little weasel, and basically this big battle ensues. And I know this is probably not the most hygienic and safe thing to do, but like freaking, you gotta love Brandon Fraser as his character with a shotgun or with the rifle, who puts like the bullet in his mouth to get it ready for the next. like as a kid, I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. Like that's very
Yeah.
probably not very safe to do, but still like
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
People get too worked up about germs.
But anyways, so that's the other thing I want to talk about this, and just Brandon Fraser in general. Like he put his body through the ringer during this movie, because like he's jumping around, he's shooting at people, he's like it. He suffered a lot of injuries during this movie.
Well, we haven't gotten to the scene where he gets hanged yet, but apparently that scene did not go entirely as planned, and he was actually getting strangled.
Oh yeah, he was like considered dead for a few apparently.
So yeah, he really did go through the ringer to make this movie.
Yeah, and then he met up with Benny again. He's kind of going to like this little cave area with like this stone door, and he's run up to it, and he's like, "Don't you close that door? Don't you close that door?" And he closes it anyways, and he gets. And then he just starts running again, and he just starts doing like different flips and jumps over like different tombs and like barriers and all that stuff. And then he gets caught, and like this I think it's the horse statue, right? The big giant jackal.
Is it a horse? Oh yeah, it's like a jackal. Yeah.
Yeah, and he thinks he's gonna die, and then like the horses that the bad guys are on, hears a sound and then they just go away.
Yep.
Well, no, actually, well, 'cause what was cool was Rick closes his eyes and he knows that he's not gonna make it out.
Yeah, he thinks he's about to get killed. But
Yeah, and then when he realizes like he did, oh, I didn't hear gunshots. He opens his eyes. Oh, like what the hell's going on?
and they're gone.
Yeah, and then this huge thing of sand comes up, and starts attacking him. And he's like, "What the fuck is going on here?" And then it cuts to several years later. You get introduced to Evelyn or Evie, as I'm gonna call her. 'Cause I'm not gonna say Evelyn like 50 times.
Well, they call her Evie throughout the movie. So yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, she's the librarian at this library that's all about like ancient Egypt, and she's a nerd for this.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, this is the best character introduction in the whole movie.
yeah, well, like I love characters like this, like Hermione,
Yeah.
like Egon, Spangler, that
Right.
they're just so intelligent about this one topic. Because as somebody with Asperger's syndrome, who's obsessed with movies and music,
Right.
like I can relate to that, and I usually gravitate to those kind of characters that are real intelligent. And so she's organizing all these books, and she's on like that big like ladder that like librarians have.
Right.
She needs to put a book on the other side of, of the on the library, and then she thinks she can make it, but then she doesn't, and then she starts losing her balance, and then all the shelves get knocked over, and then her boss gets mad at her, and she says, "What do I put up with you?" And she says, "You put up to me because I can read and write ancient Egyptian, decipher hieroglyphics, and I'm the only person within 1,000 miles that can properly code and catalog this entire library." And he goes, "I put up with you because your parents were our finest patrons." And it kind of goes into the old school misogyny, and that's one of the themes of this movie is gender roles.
Yeah, I guess
bit.
it's definitely in there. I don't think the movie hits it too hard.
Yeah,
What I actually appreciate. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, well, it didn't hit it as hard as like a Jurassic Park, because that's the whole like point that they're making in that movie, where Laura Dern is saying, "No, I'm gonna go like turn this park off," and then John Hamm is like, "Well, no, so then like you did I go since I'm and you're a." We'll talk about gender roles later. Like, so there's like a whole conversation, but I think the whole idea of like gender roles is there a little bit in the Mummy.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, just to have like a character, to have somebody back then, in a time where women were expected to be keepers at home and like not go out in the world and do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Have a character like that, and, at this time like that. But yeah, that's pretty bold. So I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, of course, this is the '90s, so it's a little bit more progressive. But like the movie's a period movie,
right?
Yeah, so I guess that's what I'm trying to get in at. So that's kind of cool to see that.
I tell you what I do like about this little sequence, in that there's a lot of talk these days about museums and about sort of taking things from other countries, other cultures, and bringing them into like our museums and showing them off as if we somehow earned the right to do that. I like that this is a museum in Egypt. It's not run by, I mean, maybe it's run by a guy from there. It's not like they're taking all this Egyptian artifacts and taking them to London or whatever. Like, it's a museum in Egypt. That's the way it should be. Like,
well, I went to the Louvre in Paris, and there's a lot of ancient Egypt.
Yeah, I mean, lots of places all around the world have stuff, and sometimes it's on loan from another country, which that's fine. Like, if you want to like loan an exhibit out to another country's museum so people from that country can come and experience it and see everything, that's different. But when you have like the British Museum, they have all this stuff from Africa that they just stole.
Well, now I'm gonna get real nerdy with my obsession with Universal Studios theme parks. I'll probably never do this, but I think it'd be really cool if they built a whole like like ancient museum. Like ancient museum. Like they did with like the Jurassic Park Discovery Center. They'll never do it. That would be really cool if they did that.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to Islands of Adventure, they have kind of a recreation of the Jurassic Park Welcome Center
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like
over there,
the
but
equivalent with the mummy, but they'll never. Well,
no, because that takes up a lot of space.
yeah. Well, the outside of the mummy, right? It's kind of like that, right? It's kind of like like a museum or something.
Yeah, it's supposed to look like a museum, and you're going in, and then it turns into like an archaeological dig site. So you're seeing like all these statues, and they're suspended from ropes and stuff like that. Like they're being dug out of the ground. It's very well done.
Yeah, that's what I love about Universal Studios, because both like on their regular ride and in their HSN houses, like they really go all out. Like you feel like you're in
Yeah.
a movie, and that's why I think that's part of the why I'm so obsessed with Universal Studios, because I'm a movie guy. It's all about celebrating movies and film.
Yeah, well, that park has changed a lot. It's now more about Minions than anything else.
I don't think it means to play.
They've really doubled down on the Minions, and now they're probably gonna make a whole Pokemon section, or it's like I don't care.
Yeah,
I know that Pokemon's a big deal to some people, but I think I'm a little too old.
I love how Evelyn's brother Jonathan is a bit of a con man, and so basically you get to introduce to this character when Evelyn hears the noise, and like I guess that the part of the museum where they keep a lot of like the tombs and like it's like a little dark, like it's like a darker area of the museum.
Yeah, they've got all these mummies in sarcophagi, sort of set out and everything, and he's hiding in one of them with the mummy.
Shit out of her. Yeah, I think as far as like childhood movies go, like this is like one classic like scare moment, like jump scare moments. Like in a
yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
people. It scared the shit out of me. This movie scared me when I was like I would like to watch it. Like it kind of scared me a little bit when I was a kid.
I mean, like I said, I didn't see it until I was probably like 17 or 18. So
yeah, I was a little bit younger when I first. I didn't watch it in theaters, but like watching it on DVD, I was like 7. I mean, it was really because I watched Frankenstein a couple of years before this.
Mm-hmm.
It was like really like my early horror movie stages.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like how he's a bit of a con man in this movie, and
I think he's my favorite character in the movie. I love John Hannah. He's such a delightful actor.
Yeah, I like Evelyn because of how smart she is.
They're all very likable, but I have a warm spot in my heart for.
Even Benny's kind of likable in a way. Like I kind of like.
I mean, he's definitely funny.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I like how he's inexplicably Hungarian for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why they made that character Hungarian, but they did.
Yeah. But anyway, so basically he finds like this little key and it has a map in it, and they show it to Evelyn's boss.
Yeah.
And basically he said, "Oh, this is from King Seti, the whoever." And he and Jonathan doesn't even care about the history. He's like, for one, who is King Seti? And two, was he rich? And then everyone kind of explained to it. Again, doesn't care about the history of this guy.
Right.
About his money. And I love that. I love that about Jonathan.
I mean, that's a pretty common trait in most of the characters in this movie. Like, she's really the only one that really cares. Well, I mean, I guess the Magi, but they care more about protecting the world from this horrible curse. But she's the only like history nerd. Because even the Egyptologist character that shows up, that I can't remember the actor's name, but it's the guy that played Van Pelt in Jumanji.
Oh, yeah.
Even he seems a little bit, well, no, I guess he is more interested in the history of it.
Yeah, because remember they're opening the little thing with the
yeah.
And he's like, this guy, boys, is a treasure.
Yeah. I guess it's more just like his association with that whole group of people casts negative aspersions on him. But
right. Well, he is kind of sexist, and I want to. Well,
that's true. He is.
I guess we can talk about that because they kind of go. I know we're jumping ahead, but they kind of go in the little groups once they get to Hamunaptra, or before they get to Hamunaptra, and then one of the guys sees Evelyn and Rick kind of going down to this tomb, and he's like, "Do they know something we don't know?" And then this
Yeah.
guy's
It's
like,
what would a woman know?
he's like, "Well, apparently more than you, because you're gonna die."
Yeah. Although she's the one that reads from the book. He knows not to read from the book.
No, you must not read from the book.
Yeah. He knows enough to know not to read from the book. She reads from the book, but that's because she's so curious and nerdy about it.
Oh yeah,
She doesn't believe anything's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But it is kind of her fault.
Right.
But that everything happens.
going back a little bit, I love the part when they're in that prison where they have to meet Rick because he knows, a little something, or he knows where Hamanoptera is.
Yeah.
And I love the part when they're walking out to his cell, and he's like, Jonathan, no, I think Evelyn discovers that he was sort of lying to her, and Jonathan goes, "I lied to everybody, but I'm your sister. Yeah, that makes you more gullible." I just love those little quips in this movie. I love that.
Well, and that scene has one of my favorite lines from the movie where he says he knows where Hamanoptera is, and she goes, "Do you swear?" And he goes, "Every damn day."
Yeah, I love that.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah, and then basically she gets real curious about like where it is. He's like, "You want me to tell you?" He's like, "Come over here."
Yeah.
And he's like starts kissing her, and he's like, "Get me the hell out of here, lady! Do it!" And that's where we get the whole hanging scene. Now, I do want to talk about one of the most problematic parts of this movie. And it had to be the xenophobia. This movie is very
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I guess they try to balance it out by having Oded Fehr's character be really the most noble character in the whole movie, but
it's like an Aladdin kind of syndrome where it's like, okay, so either you're like the hottest thing ever,
right, like Oded Fehr,
yeah, like that for Aladdin or Jasmine, or
yeah,
like this big fat ugly smelly guy.
right,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that part of this movie, but it was a different time. Doesn't make an excuse, but he's got to.
And of course they have a white guy playing the mummy himself.
Oh, a British guy. Well, he was great.
He's South African, but he is from Dutch and German descent.
Oh, really? I thought he was.
Yeah. No, he's from South Africa. He is an Afrikaans.
Oh,
is the
okay.
word for like Dutch and German colonialists that settled in South Africa. And he is definitely he is literally from a long line of colonialists.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go back to
I'm
that.
not saying he's not a good actor. It's just it's funny that this movie that sort of touches on colonialism, casts a literal colonialist as its villain.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Freaking Boris Karloff in the original wasn't it?
Yeah,
he was British.
Yeah, British.
Yeah, but yeah, I didn't know that. That's interesting. But Arnold Vosloo is so good in this movie. Like
he's great. He's absolutely great. He's perfect.
Yeah, I can't see anybody else as the Mummy.
Such a striking presence that he has. Yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't really say anything. It's all about like his physical presence, and he even, well, because he even said in the making of that, like, we have all these effects people have like their own like computer language, and I basically just told Stephen like, don't tell me any technical stuff about any of this. Just tell me what I need to do. And
that's cool.
Yeah, and he's very convincing, and I bet that's real hard for like an actor to work with guys up. And some actors are real good at it, and some actors aren't good at it.
Yeah, it's funny. None of the main cast in this movie is Egyptian. Even the Egyptian characters, they're all played by people from like because Evie's boss, he's Indian, and then the guy that's like the prison warden, he's Iranian / British. I mean, he was born and raised in Britain. Arnold Vosloo is South African. Oded Fehr is Israeli.
Yeah, that's close enough. It's close enough.
I guess Israeli would definitely be the closest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you believe more than anybody else. But I just gotta say, I love Beth Fair's voice, like just in general.
He's great. Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the best characters in the movie, and he's even better in the second one because they
Mm.
give him a lot more to do.
Yeah. Well, I feel like him and Evie are kind of like the Hermione character to Rick, where they have to explain everything.
Right.
Right. I saw, yeah. But like he didn't honestly like he didn't feel like that kind of character because he's just such a cool character.
Yeah, and for most of the movie, you don't really know if he's like a good guy or a bad guy or whatever. I mean, he says, we're just trying to protect the world from this curse, but they put him up in opposition to Rick and Evie, and those are the characters we're following. So he sort of seems
Right.
like an antagonist, but he's really like I said, I think he's the most noble character in the whole thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because he's there just to protect this shit. Like he's
Mhm.
not there to make the biggest archaeological find of the century.
Yeah.
For the money. Yeah, he's there.
And he's a badass. He's a total badass. He's got
Dude,
the
he
cool
did-
face tattoos and everything. Yeah.
Dude, he's more badass in the second one because he like gets in like the
Yeah, that's what I said. They give him a lot more to do in the second one. He's like one of the main characters in that
Yeah.
one.
Now I love the part in this movie where you get into Evie's kind of like headspace, but like
Yeah.
she's here, and that's a fun interaction with her and Rick because he's like, okay, so I get your parents because
Right.
they were like her dad was like a famous archaeologist, and her mom was Egyptian, and I am
Yeah.
his brother. But what are you doing here? And then she's like intoxicated at this point.
Oh, she's 3 sheets to the wind. Yeah.
I remember that term before.
I love what I do because I am a librarian.
Yeah, but then but before that, she goes this whole like this whole thing where she's like because he's upset about what he said, and he's like, I'll tell you, Mr. O'Connor, call me Rick. And I
Yeah.
may not be a gunslinger or an adventurer, but I'm proud to be what I am, a
Right.
librarian. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna kiss you, Rick. And then she goes in for the kiss. That's all drunk. I'm like, yeah, you ain't getting no action tonight, Rick.
I mean, I love that from the second she meets him the second time, when he shows up and he's like, his hair's cut and he's all clean and everything. She is so horny for him the rest of the movie. It's pretty great.
Well, they definitely got some action at the end of this movie. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they have a kid in the next one, so
oh yeah, yeah, after the movies,
right in between the two movies, yeah.
yeah. They just found a hotel somewhere in the city of Egypt, in like some city in Egypt, and they just got it on. They put on some Marvin Gaye.
I mean, I guess that'd be Cairo. I guess they're in Cairo for most of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, yeah, I just thought that was funny. It's like he thought he was gonna get another smooch from this from this hot British chick, and he didn't. At that point, and then later, and at the end, they do the kiss right off in the sunset, kind of cliche kind of thing.
Right.
Now, I do want to talk about the jars in this movie because
Okay.
I want a souvenir cup of these at Universal Studios, and you just have it like a drink in snack stand right outside the Mummy ride. That'd be awesome. That's just be
Yeah.
Yeah, and they sell souvenir cups. I would totally get one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they may have had that at some point, when the ride was newer or whatever. That ride's been there for a long time.
Now, I do want to talk about my favorite part of the whole movie, and I know we're
Okay.
even further, but it's when Emotep kidnapped Evie to resurrect an Optima Moon with her. And I love the part when Rick is getting attacked by the mummy, kinsman people, and that whole scene
Oh wow, we've skipped like all the way to the end of the movie. Okay.
Yeah, when he's fighting him off with his sword, and you got Gary Goldsmith's theme, like that whole moment, like lives rent free in my head, like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, like when you're a kid and you watch certain movies that you love, and you're a child, and there's certain moments that you just never forget,
Yeah.
and that's one of those type of moments for me. Like,
Well, that whole climactic battle that has okay. We haven't really talked about the director a lot, Stephen Sommers. He's made a few action films. What he's really good at, he's not like a Spielberg or a George Miller or James Cameron level action director where he's just creates these fantastic, memorable set pieces. What he's really good at as an action director is doing little gags in the midst of an action scene. And I think that's a different kind of gift. Spielberg's good at it too. And I think Miller is too. Cameron, not as much.
right.
And Christopher Nolan, not at all. He doesn't do gags. But I do appreciate, even though the action in this movie, the way it's staged is not anything, it's not, what is the word I'm looking for? Shoot.
Innovative.
It's not virtuosic,
Right.
in the way that those other directors can be, but like he just finds all these perfect little moments, like when they're getting attacked on the boat and the guy is running around on fire and then he disappears for a while, but then he comes back and he's still on fire.
You stage an action scene properly.
Yeah.
Well, I think like Steven Spielberg has his own kind of style that's very distinct to him, and then Nolan has his own, and then
Right.
Miller and Cameron have their own kind of style. Yeah,
but they're all sort of, I mean, John Woo is another perfect example. John Woo maybe does it better than anybody as far as just the way the camera moves through the action, the way he sets up the geography, all of that stuff.
Oh yeah, sure.
Stephen Sommers, like if it didn't have all these little individual moments and gags, it would be kind of boring to watch. But the fact that he's able to pepper in all these little gags is great.
I think that's what he tapped into so good, is that like he knows what the audience wants in this kind of movie. He wants funny.
Yeah.
Because this is supposed to be like an ode to like not only Indiana Jones, but like serial adventure movies from like the 30s.
Which Indiana Jones was as well,
Yeah, so like he just knows like the audience just want these little funny beats in the action scenes. And
but after he did, I mean, he'd done some other stuff before. He did like the Huckleberry Finn movie with Elijah Wood, and he done what's called, it's Deep something.
Deep
I can't
Rising.
think of what it's called. Deep Rising, yes. He did that one. But then he did this movie and then the second Mummy movie, which is also a lot of fun.
Yep.
After that, his career, but that's where his career starts to take a nosedive.
It was a fun movie.
It's got stuff in it that I like, but
it has the sexiest man who ever lived, Hugh Jackman, in it. So
that's true. And you know what? It's part of the reason I love Hugh Jackman is not just because of Wolverine, but I love him in Van Helsing. But that movie, he had a way bigger budget than he had on The Mummy, and he just indulges himself too much, and it's not as funny as the Mummy movies are. It doesn't have the sort of like,
I don't think that beloved
shaggy dog kind of charm to it, and it has, quite frankly, a story that's absurd. This movie does too, but it works despite the fact that it's not got the best script or anything.
Yeah, well, I think Sommers, he loves the Universal monster movies, and I think he would just
but he bit off way more than he could chew with Van Helsing.
I still want to see like, and I hope one day in my lifetime I get to see like a huge monster math movie with all the classic Universal, like from Universal specifically. Like I want to see.
I mean, the Monster Squad is pretty close.
Yeah, but I want to see like one from Universal with like Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolf.
Well, they could have done that, but they shot themselves in the foot by making the Dark Universe a thing too soon instead of
they blew their
gradually building it like they should have done.
Yeah. yeah, like I said, they blew their load way too early on
They
that.
really did. And
But
it wasn't even that good of a load. Because that Tom Cruise mummy movie is not good. It is very, very not good.
wow, and we're gonna get calls from Mr. Cruise's lawyer. Now,
Well, you know what? I think even Tom Cruise knows that movie's not very good.
yeah. I did listen to this podcast called "Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe," where where these two guys like they kind of rebuild the Dark Universe based off that Mummy movie and make it better, and it's really entertaining. And they did one for The Invisible Man, directed by Brad Bird and
Okay.
Steve Riley as The Invisible Man.
I mean, I was excited about the idea of the Dark Universe, but they just fumbled the ball there.
Yeah, they just rushed it way too much. It's like, okay, I get you want to build this universe, and yes, give us little hints here and there.
Right.
Don't be like give us a whole bunch of stuff. Don't.
They're like casting everybody. They're doing like the photo shoot, which everybody's photoshopped together. They weren't all in the same room. It was just so silly the way that they tried to roll that out. Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, but I love that moment. When Rick just fights off all those mummies, and it's very Evil Dead a little bit because you had like the decapitated hand trying to get like the sword or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're basically it's basically Army of Darkness.
Oh yeah.
Because you have all these sort of like they're not skeletons, they're mummies, but it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, well, I just love the whole. I love Jerry Goldsmith's music during that one. Love that. Ba, 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 ba. Like when I think of like Jerry Goldsmith's score in this movie, or Jerry Goldsmith in general, like that's the first thing I think of is that score right there. It is so triumphant and like so heroic.
See, I could not even hum you the music from this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not something I come away from the movie thinking about at all.
Okay. But
oh, what I was gonna say before I got off on this whole thing about Stephen Sommers and the way he does action scenes is the moment from that climactic fight scene that I love so much is John Hannah manages to get the key to open the book, and so now Evie's got to read from the book to make Imhotep mortal, and she's like, Rick, just keep him busy, and then the next thing you see is Rick just getting thrown into a wall.
Well, the part I like about in this final action scene is when the mummy soldiers come up to Rick, and Rick starts like screaming at them or yelling at them.
Yeah,
they do the same thing too, but then like their mouth, like their jaw like extends out, and he's like,
right.
That's fun.
And he's just like, and goes away.
Yeah, I love that part. And then I guess we can get to the sand dune or the sandstorm scene because that's a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
I love the part because they're on this plane and they gotta stop this sandstorm. I guess I don't really know the point of this thing other than it being fun. And then he yells at Jonathan, "Are you okay?" And then Jonathan is just hanging on the ring, and he's like, "They look like I'm okay."
Well, I like when it cuts over to Oded Fair's character. I can never remember the character's name. I just think of him. What is it?
Artist Bay.
Okay. When it cuts over to him and he's just having a really good time flying on the wing of the airplane. He's got this big smile on his face. Yeah. And you've never seen the character smile throughout the rest of the movie. Yeah, but he is just loving getting to ride on the wing of this airplane.
Oh, yeah. It's fun. I'll tell you what my favorite Benny line is. We didn't get to this, but it's when Rick discovers that Benny is on the boat and he's about to kill him because he double crossed him. And he's like, "Think about my children. You don't have any children. Maybe someday
I might." Yeah. That whole exchange is fun because it starts with, "Well, if it isn't my little buddy Benny, I think I'll kill you."
Well, and then because he's part of this little journey too.
Yeah.
And then he asks Rick why he's there, and they look over to Evie, and then Benny's like, You always had more balls than brain, O'Connell. And they start laughing, and he's like, and Rick is like, goodbye, Benny, and throws him over the
Yeah.
boat.
Contrast that though to Benny's final scene. Like, he's been this sort of weaselly, funny but unlikable character throughout the whole movie, and his final scene is the scariest thing in the movie.
Oh yeah.
Like, it is like a moment of true horror, because not only is he trapped in this tomb forever that he can't get out of, but all the little beetles are just descending upon him, and then his torch goes out, and then you just hear him scream. Oh, it's so good.
Oh yeah, freaky. Well, this movie, even though it is like Indiana Jones, it's a pretty decently made horror movie, because like Indiana type is going around to these people that stole the jar that his
Right.
or his parts are in. They get the steal their parts, the resurrect or get him to his full power. And the guy with the glasses, like, I think his name is Burns, his glass get knocked off.
Yeah.
And he's blind and he can't see anything, and then that's pretty scary.
Yeah, but it's also funny that that's the guy that Imhotep gets his eyes from, because it's like the guy that can't see very well.
Yeah.
Which I was thinking about that last night. It's like, and then he comes across Rachel Weisz, and he's like, a Noxunamoon? I'm like, oh, of course he thinks she's a Noxunamoon, even though she looks nothing like her, because he can't see, because he got the guy's eyes that's mostly blind.
Yeah, it's a hot check. That's a brunette. This is who happens to be a brunette.
Right.
Before we move any further, I gotta talk about. I did just think about my favorite, the funniest joke in the whole movie. It's when they jump off the boat, and then Benny and his crew on one side of the river, and Rick is on the other side of the river, and then Benny goes, "Hey O'Connell, looks like I ain't got all the horses," and then Rick goes, "Hey Benny, look to me like I'm on the wrong side of the river, or the right side of the river."
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny.
I have a moment that to me is the funniest thing in the movie, but I'm gonna save that for favorite part.
Okay, but now I just love that. That's so funny to me. And then I love how like in Evil Tab like releases the 10 plagues of Egypt, or some of the 10 plagues of Egypt. I thought that was
yeah. You get locusts, you get fiery hail, you get darkness.
That's kind of cool for me watching this as a kid, because I grew up being homeschooled for a part of my life, and it was a Christian Baptist curriculum that I was under, and so I learned about the 10 plagues and Moses and all that stuff. And even another movie that I watched a lot when I was a kid was Prince of Egypt.
Okay.
So in this other movie that had nothing to do with Moses, like an Egyptian. My movie set in Egypt that had nothing to do with Moses. That was kind of cool. I'm like, oh,
I think
yeah,
Prince of Egypt, I think that came out the same year as this. I think it's a 99 movie.
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's a 90s movie. It's a 90s childhood classic. That's amazing.
Well, see, I grew up watching the 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston.
Yeah, that's another one my mom tried to show me when I was a kid.
It's very long.
Yeah, I probably like it now, honestly. But
yeah,
it's like, I want to watch the Prince of Egypt. I want freaking Val Kilmer and Ralph Fiennes as these characters. But anyways, man, do you have anything else you want to say about this movie?
I don't think so. I think we covered it pretty well.
Yeah, this movie
it's just a fun ride. There's not anything really deep to get into. I mean, we talked a little bit about the gender politics and the colonialism, but like that's not what this movie is interested in. It's just trying to have a fun summer blockbuster. And it succeeds mostly. I will say, like, I said this earlier, but like the effects in this movie for the most part have not aged well.
To be fair, a lot of ILM people were working on Phantom Menace at the time.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. I also don't think that movie, I don't think it looks very good, but dude, I realize that in certain circles I'm in the minority on that. I don't like that movie.
Yeah, Well, apparently that re-release that came out around the same time as this re-release, because both movies are 25 years old.
Right.
Apparently, like a lot of people went to go see Phantom Menace, the re-release, and really,
People like your age and younger love that movie.
I like it.
And you know,
I
whatever.
like
I
Jar Jar.
don't get
I know
it.
that's gonna get me killed, but I like Jar Jar. Jar Jar's cool, man.
Okay.
We did.
Ugh,
Thank you. So you ready for favorite part and least favorite part?
sure.
All right. So what is your favorite part of the movie?
Okay, so my favorite part is when Jonathan, when Imhotep has amassed all his followers and they're all walking around just going, Imhotep, Imhotep. And Jonathan, he starts walking through them and he realizes real quickly, oh, I just got to pretend. And he just starts going, Imhotep, Imhotep, and then sort of slinks away.
I remember
That's my favorite thing in the movie.
Well, I remember when we were on the ride the first time, and as we're in the ride was getting started, he started thinking that, which was real funny.
Yeah, because it's my favorite thing. I just love it. And
Yeah.
John Hannah is just so funny in that moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what's your least favorite part?
I think it's just the visual effects. They just are not good. They get even worse in the second one somehow.
Oh God,
With
dude.
the Scorpion King.
Yeah, that was bad back then.
It was really terrible.
Yeah, that was. Well, actually, fun fact, I actually dressed up as the Scorpion King for Halloween one year.
Oh yeah. We
Sorry.
don't ever talk about this, but this is the reason The Rock is a movie star.
Oh yeah, for
Is
sure.
because he's the Scorpion. That was his first movie, I think.
Yeah,
Was Mummy Returns.
Yeah,
and then he had the Scorpion King.
Yeah, well, you want to talk about another moment in these movies that lives rent free in my head is when the Scorpion King's about to go out to battle and he goes, Aku Ascende! Dude, I used to reenact that all the time when I was a kid. 'Cause I had like a sword that I used to play with all the time.
Everybody loves a sword. Come on. Who
Yeah,
doesn't love a sword?
Yeah, I used to pretend with like Link from Legend of Zelda all the time. Anyways, my favorite part of this movie is Jerry Goldsmith's score. I think he's
Okay.
underrated. I think he's the best composer who's super underrated that nobody really knows about.
Yeah, I mean, I know about him just from being a movie nerd, but like I said, I don't even think about the score of this movie, so I don't.
Yeah, I love this score. It's not his. I don't want to say his most iconic score. That would maybe be like Alien or something.
Back to the Future.
No, that's Alan Silvestri.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Shoot, now I'm getting everybody. Okay, well then Jerry Goldsmith, I would say Gremlins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have to get to hear that in season 2 of Stranger Things. When Dustin shows a little creature that morphs into the Demodog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you hear a little bit of that in there because it's similar.
I can't believe I just got Alan Silvestri and Jerry Goldsmith mixed up.
This is cool, man. My least favorite part is I don't have one other than the fact that I mean you can't blame it because like it was so early on and yeah, so I can't make that big of a complaint about it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into score. What is your filmmaking score out of 5?
Thought about this a lot. I don't know because I think that most of what I like about this movie is the cast, but that's sort of part of the filmmaking as well. Because, they had to cast those actors and direct them and everything. But I think I'm gonna land at like a 3.5.
Okay. 3.
Yeah.
5. What about theme?
I'll be generous and give it a 2. It really probably deserves a 1, but it has just enough about the gender politics and the colonialism that at least I came away thinking about those things. So,
and then so 3.5 plus 2, you get a 5.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I enjoy this movie, but I'm not gonna go on record saying I think it's a great movie. It's just a fun movie.
Yeah. So my filmmaking score is a 4 out of 5 because I
Okay.
think this easily could have been a real kind of stupid movie. Like these kind of movies. Like
I think it is a stupid movie, but it's an enjoyable
but it's
stupid
done
movie.
well. Like it could have been like I think like Stephen Sommers has a lot of energy and like kind of childlike excitement when it comes to kind of movies, and I think
Sure.
that really bleeds in when you're watching this movie. So I think for that I would give it a 4 because you really get to see like his love of ancient Egypt and these type of movies. I'm gonna go with theme. I'm gonna go one score higher than you. I'm gonna go to 3 because I think there's enough in there, but it's not like super deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would give me a 7. So that's average the scores out. And the overall score for Stephen Sommers' The Mummy is 6 out of 10.
That's perfectly acceptable, I think.
I don't think it's acceptable for me. It should be a 7. 7.5, but you know what? It's just us two. Who knows?
Yeah, it might have been very different if Eric and Bradley had been here, but they bailed, so they don't get to ring in.
Yeah, but that was fun, man. I like talking about this movie, and this made me feel old, but also nostalgic because that was a big movie. It was a big movie for me as a kid.
Yeah. Do you have anything to say about the 32, the Boris Karloff one?
I didn't like it at first because my love of this one is so strong.
Sure.
But watching it quite a few more times, I really like that version quite a bit. I think Boris Karloff, even though he's not Egyptian, I think he brings a lot of gravitas to the role.
Yeah. And I would say he's the main reason to watch it because it's really like it's okay. I don't want to sound like sacrilegious or whatever, but it's kind of boring. At least when you compare it to like some of the other Universal
I think it's more
movies from that era.
I think it's more artistically interesting than Dracula, because Dracula is just a complete bore.
But that was like the first one, they were still trying to figure it out, and then Frankenstein comes along and it's way better, and then but then the Mummy, I mean, my thoughts on this. My favorite of that era is The Invisible Man, because I think that one is just filmmaking wise doing stuff that none of the other ones are doing.
I would consider that a horror movie. That's like a sci-fi comedy right there.
But he's still a canonical Universal monster.
Yeah, but like he's funny as hell. I love that movie.
And it's James Whale, coming off of Frankenstein, and
going back to him.
Yeah.
Usually check out the movie Gods and Monsters. It's really good.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember thinking it was pretty solid. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that director was gonna within the Dark Universe, he was gonna direct The Bride of Frankenstein.
That director, Bill Condon, he is such a he is a hit or miss filmmaker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because sometimes he's really good, and then sometimes you get a Twilight movie,
Oh yeah. But
if you want another good Bill Condon movie, Mr. Holmes, also starring Ian McKellen.
Oh yeah.
Where he plays like an elderly retired Sherlock Holmes. That's pretty solid little flick. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I love Ian McKellen. Like he's like my favorite British actor. I just love his voice. And I love doing it.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Ooh, so that pass. But anyways, if you like this episode and you want to see more spooky and weird content, make sure you slap the subscribe button and follow me on Facebook and Twitter X at Horror Sci-Fi and Beyond. And also, don't forget to leave this episode a killer comment and give it a King Kong size thumbs up. And before I go, guys, I just gotta say one thing for you too. A Nemo tap. A Nemo tap.
It's not an Emotep. It's just Emotep.
Emotep, whatever. Anyway, guys, never forget to stay weird.